Alright, it's time for QuausPol, Queensland politics. Just a summary, really. Some of the moments in question time. This time from the 14th of May. I just wanted to chat about the bits I found amusing. You can enjoy watching it to the soothing visuals of my awful fucking showdown gameplay. Uh, I guess we'll start with Stephen Miles. He tabled some documents that showed the Child Safety Minister, Amanda Cam, was found to have become a shareholder in three companies 1st of April 2024 after the previous night saying that there had been no changes in circumstances in respect of the company since December 2022. I don't know the full story there. Can't say I was paying much attention to that. But she goes for the expert deflect by insinuating that he can't speak on integrity since he's been found in contempt of Parliament after this other lady, Miss Gerber, I think. She interjected. That was her opinion anyway. What was interesting though is in Stephen Miles' question, he hadn't said anything regarding integrity, so yeah, I don't know why they're focusing on that bit. I'll guess, but whatever. Yeah, Miles asked if Mrs. Cam, sorry, take responsibility for her actions instead of blaming her department and her clerk. This was his next question. Just drop something. Uh, Her response to that was to accuse Labour engaging in gutter politics, uh, whilst simultaneously saying that Miles is using the death of her grandmother, which is the person she inherited the shares from, and using her being a disability carer, which, good on her for that, and being forced. Was it? Yeah, accused him of making use of that and had to be forced pretty much immediately to withdraw the marks, although you'll find that that's a bit of a running theme in QuAusPol. People will just say something, withdraw it immediately, and then say it again, which is what you want to do. But it is funny, accuse someone of gutter politics and then in the same breath say they're using your dead grandma as a bludgeon against you. Well, that's the LNP. Don't expect much shame. Anyway, the long and short is that the LNP have insisted they have made the appropriate declarations at the appropriate time, but Miss Cam had apparently not done so. Labour seems to be intent on grilling the LNP on this matter, and the LNP seems to be very intent on framing it as an attack on a disabled family member. So we'll see where that goes. Oh yeah, something else amusing. Jared Blagey, Deputy Premier, he accused the Labour government of being in the pocket of the CFMEU, despite the fact that Labour's been going after them harder than mostly everyone else. So that's your the usual excellence I expect from the LNP there. Oh yeah, here's a good one. He's also implied that he's heard rumours along the corridors of power, the great halls of Queensland government, no less. Whoa. That Labour's priority is getting taxpayer-funded fuel cards for their shadow ministers. And then he starts going on about how they have all these investment properties, which is a little rich given the previous discussion about inherited shares. But, anyway, he calls Mr. Miles the landlord leader of the opposition. And oh yeah, when someone from the Labour side starts interjecting, it, he accuses them of just doing so because they didn't get a fuel card. Assuming he was joking, I was just reading this off the transcript. Uh, but even so, good lord. Uh, I'm just really listing off what he said because the little Dorothy Dixer from his party member had been regarding kind of laughably the idea that Queensland Labour, the party that is apparently enthralled to the unions, has not been seeing to worker protection over the last decade. He just kind of rambles. What's next? Oh yeah, yeah. I got some notes here. I'm just gonna read this next bit verbatim. It's pretty good. We got Mrs. Nightingale. My question is to the Minister for Natural Resources and Mines, Minister for Manufacturing, and Minister for Regional and Rural Development. The Australian has reported that the Minister owes creditors $1,650 for a flight provided to him by mining company Vitrinite. You know, uh, Vitrinite. What is it with all these new companies? I don't know. Maybe this is an old, weird thing that all these companies coming out, just making themselves sound like fucking supervillain groups. Anyway, as you can guess, that part wasn't part of it. Anyway, last bit. Has the minister repaid the money to the creditors? Now, what do you think the response to that question is? uh, can you guess? Can you guess? I don't think you can. Let me read it to you. Mr. Last. What a disgrace it is that this member would stand up in this place and attack public servants. Which, you can probably imagine, he withdraws the remark immediately. And, and then the next bit, prepare yourself because it's a bit of a neck-snapping tonal shift. Immediately after the speaker tells him to withdraw, this is his tone now. I withdraw. Queensland is a big state. When I took on this portfolio, I made it very clear that I would get out and about and visit the many mines and gas companies right across this state. That is what we do. We support our resources sector in Queensland. When opportunities arise to travel to sites with respective companies, I take those opportunities, because it is important that we send the message that we are supporting them and backing them. It is an opportunity to meet with their staff on the ground who are doing such great work. On this occasion, I travelled with the Vitrinite crew to the mine, and that was all above board. There was nothing wrong with doing that. According to my rules and the policy in my office, we pay our way. We do not expect any free rides. When that invoice came in, I authorised its payment and sent it upstairs for payment. I subsequently received advice that it was not paid. I have an email from the Executive Director of Ministerial Services expressing their sincere apologies for this issue that has arisen and accepting full responsibility for the oversight. That's a bit of a change from fucking what a disgrace asking this kind of question. Then we move on to a hell of a kicker. Mr. Last. Of course, this raises a question that should go to the leader of the opposition. Is he going to pay for the infamous birthday cake? I wonder if he's going to pay for that. On this side, when the bills are due and payable, we pay them. Apparently didn't. I don't even know what the fuck this guy was talking about regarding an infamous birthday cake, so I had to look it up. But to compare it to $1,650 better be made of fucking gold. It turned out the first, and one of the only results I got, mind you, was from Sky News, accusing Miles of taking a flight for the sole purpose of delivering a birthday cake to another MP, and then implying that he used the announcement of a school fence as an excuse to do so, all to avoid, apparently, a railway that they seem to imagine is like taking a train to the pits of hell. So I guess there's that. I'm not too sure on the veracity of all that. Considering the top source here appears to be Sky News, it must be 100% true. I can't imagine they'd tell a lie. Oh, anyway, here's the icing on top of this fucking infamous cake. Mr. Last, a fuel card to deliver the birthday cake. As I said, that invoice has been paid. Ministerial services have accepted the responsibility. We are not going to attack our hard-working public servants who are doing a fantastic job. Again, I don't know where the attack is. It is a disgrace that the member comes in here today and casts aspersions on our public servants who are doing a great job. Is he talking about himself? I'm doing a great job. How dare you say I'm not? Yeah, shut the fuck up. I don't need to show you anything. Anyway. In this role, I will continue to visit mine sites in Queensland because we are backing our resource companies throughout all of the state and will continue to do that. This matter is just proof that those officers will do anything to get into the gutter. The gutter again. Oh, what a fucking ride. We got drama, fences, cakes, hell on rails, public servants under attack from the denizens of the ether, apparently, because I still don't see where that attack is coming from. Who the fuck's attacking them? Ah, what the fuck? Man, Question Time is better than TV. What else? Oh yeah, there's a bit of a turnabout on the whole wasted decade thing. If you watch federal politics Question Time and whatnot, they're always talking about the wasted decade, which it was. Um, the LNPs decided they're gonna change then to the decade of decline, which isn't really as catchy. They just should say wasted decade. I don't know what they're doing. They're trying to be original. It's stupid, but whatever. Uh, it might hit a little harder if the federal Liberal and National parties hadn't been one of the most publicly useless parties we've ever seen. They made a fucking curry stuffed potato the prime minister, and he operated accordingly. Oh yeah, last little bit, kind of funny. We have a case of spending a lot of money to promote spending a little bit of money. Some classic LNP stuff. Diane Farmer questions why the government is spending $40,000 for a billboard in Stafford. A lot of focus on Stafford around this time, by the way, because it was for a by-election that I completely missed. Shows how in tune I am. uh, but it was a $40,000 billboard advertising $20,000 in whiteboard upgrades for Stafford State School. Jesus, $20,000 for whiteboards. I mean, I guess that's fair enough. Maybe they're expensive. I don't know. John Paul Langbroek, Jean Paul, Minister for Education, then goes on to accuse the Labour Party of not funding all these apparently appalling shortfalls in the state education system, citing a renewal backlog of $3.2 million. I can't say I know too much about what's going on there, but it is kind of amusing that he goes on to talk about these funding shortfalls in a bunch of areas while not answering why they spent $40,000 fucking dollars on a billboard when the funding is apparently so desperately needed. But again, that's some classic LNP. What else? Chris Foley accused Labour of being colleagues with the Greens at some point, which is probably the most insulting thing anyone said throughout this whole thing.